Hello everyone, today I am going to start the permanent maxillary molar, first molar, which is the sixth tooth from the midline, largest tooth present in the maxillary arch. The roots of the tooth are quite flat, giving impression of crown. These teeth provide maximum anchorage. All molars provide maximum anchorage. The permanent first molar usually appear in the oral cavity when the child is 6 years old. Maxillary first molar. The crown of the tooth is wider buccolingually than mesiodistally. The maxillary first molar is normally the largest tooth in the maxillary arch. It has 4 well-developed functioning cusps and 1 supplemental cusp. The 4 large cusps of most physiological significance are the mesiobuccal, distobuccal, mesiolingual, and distolingual. The 3 roots of first molar is mesiobuccal, distobuccal, and lingual. The lingual root is the longest root. It is tapered and smoothly rounded. The supplemental cusp is found lingual to the mesiolingual cusp, which is the largest of the well-developed cusps. Let's have a look on first evidence of calcification at birth. Enamel completed 3 to 4 year, eruption 6 year, root completed 9 to 10 year. Dimension: cervico-occlusal length of the crown 7.5, length of the root buccal 12 mm, lingual 13 mm, mesiodistal diameter of crown 10, mesiodistal diameter of crown at cervix 8, labiolingual diameter of crown 11, labiolingual diameter of crown at cervix 10, curvature of cervical line, curvature or cervical line mesial 1, curvature or cervical line distally 0. From the buccal aspect, the crown is roughly trapezoidal with cervical and occlusal outline representing the uneven sides. The cervical line is shorter than occlusal line. There are 4 cusps: mesiobuccal, distobuccal, mesiolingual, distolingual. Mesiobuccal cusp is greater than distobuccal. The slope of mesiobuccal cusp, they meet at each other at obtuse angle. The cervical line of the crown does not have much curvature from mesial to distal. It is not as smooth and regular as that. The line is generally convex with the convexity towards the root. The mesial outline of the crown from this aspect follow a nearly straight path downward and mesially, curving occlusally as it reaches the crest of contour of the mesial surface, which is the contact area. The crest is approximately 2/3 of the distance from the cervical line to the tip of the mesiobuccal cusp. The mesial outline continue downward and distally and become confluent with the outline of the mesial slope of the mesiobuccal cusp. The distal outline of the crown is convex. The distal surface is spheroidal. The crest of curvature on the distal side of the crown is located at level approximately half the distance from the cervical line to the tip of the cusp. The distal contact area almost near the middle 1/3 of the crown. From the buccal aspect, a flattened area can be seen on the distal surface of the tooth above distobuccal cusp. From buccal aspect, all the 3 roots seen. These roots are more inclined towards the distal direction. The point of bifurcation is 4 mm above the cervical line, and a deep developmental groove is present at the buccal aspect of the root trunk. It starts at the bifurcation progressively downward and terminates near a small depression in cervical line. From the lingual aspect, the gross outline of the lingual aspect is similar to the buccal aspect. The distolingual cusp rounded, so distal outline smooth, and it is confluent with the curvature of the cusp. This forms semicircular. Mesiolingual cusp is larger than distolingual, and obtuse angle is formed at where two slopes of the mesiolingual and distolingual meet. A shallow depression is present called as developmental groove between two cusps. This developmental groove is confluent with the distolingual cusp and it proceeds in the mesial direction and in the center of the lingual surface. Below this lingual groove, a shallow depression may be present on the lingual surface of the tooth, which extend in the crown up to the middle third part of the root. Presence of the fifth cusp of supplementary cusp, which is called cusp of Carabelli. It is present on the mesiolingual aspect of the mesiolingual cusp. Cusp of Carabelli, it's outlined by irregular developmental groove. This developmental groove starts at mesiolingual outline. It proceeds occlusely and make an obtuse angle, then turn towards lingual developmental groove and set near the terminal of lingual developmental groove. This cusp of Carabelli more sharper than the mesiolingual groove. All three roots seen, the lingual root, very conical and blunt. The mesial outline of the mesiobuccal groove can be seen and distal outline of the distobuccal groove can be seen from the lingual aspect. The lingual cusps are the only one to be seen from the lingual aspect. The mesiolingual cusp is much larger and before occlusal where it is always the longest cusp of the tooth possesses. From mesial aspect, buccolingual dimension of the crown more. Three cusps are seen: mesiobuccal, mesiolingual cusp of Carabelli. Buccal outline makes a short arch and its crest of curvature which is present in cervical third. Cervical 1/3, then it proceeds occlusally confluent with the slope of mesiobuccal cusp. Lingual outline curves outward and crest of curvature in the middle 1/3 of the root. Fifth cusp of Carabelli well developed. It is prominent seen from this. Mesial marginal ridge is irregular. It is curved cervically. The cervical line has curvature of 1 mm. The mesial contact area is present at the junction of the middle and occlusal third. Mesiobuccal root is broad and flattened. Lingual root larger. Lingual outline of the lingual root is convex, while buccal it is more concave. Mesially, the crest of curvature is at the junction of occlusal and middle third. From the distal aspect, because of the tendency of the crown to taper distally on the buccal surface, most of the buccal surface of the crown may be seen in perspective from the distal aspect. This is because the buccolingual measurement of the crown mesially is greater than the same measurement distally. The distal marginal ridge, it dips downward sharply towards cervical direction. The cervical line is almost straight. The distal surface is more convex and rounded. Distobuccal root is narrow and while the lingual root is seen more prominent. There is greater curvature of lingual root. From occlusal aspect, it is rhomboidal in shape. It is wider mesially and narrower distally. Four well-developed cusps can be seen, which are mesiobuccal, distobuccal, mesiolingual, distolingual cusp. Fifth cusp can be seen on the mesiolingual aspect of the mesiolingual cusp. The largest cusp is the mesiolingual cusp, followed by mesiobuccal, then distolingual, then distobuccal. Smallest one is the fifth cusp. Mesiobuccal, distobuccal, mesiolingual cusp are called primary cusp. Distolingual fifth cusp are called secondary cusp. Mesiobuccal, distobuccal, mesiolingual form triangular arrangement, and this triangle called as the maxillary molar primary cusp triangle. There are two fossa, two major, two minor. In two major fossa, one is central fossa, other one is distal fossa. In two minor fossa, one is mesial triangular fossa, other one is distal triangular fossa. Presence of oblique ridge. This ridge crosses occlusal surface. It is formed by the union of triangular ridge of the distobuccal cusp and distal ridge of the mesiolingual cusp. Mesiomarginal ridge and distal marginal ridge are present. The two minor fossa, mesial triangular fossa and distal triangular fossa, are in relation to marginal ridges. Central fossa is present. It is bounded by the distal slope of mesiobuccal cusp, mesial slope of distobuccal cusp. The crest of oblique ridge and crest of the triangular ridge of mesiobuccal and distobuccal and mesiolingual cusp. Inside cervical fossa, there is presence of central pit. The buccal developmental groove arise from center of pit and extend to the buccal surface of the ground between the buccal cusps. Starting again at the central pit, the central developmental groove is seen to progress in the mesial direction at an obtuse angle to the buccal sulcate groove. The central groove at the bottom of the sulcus of the central fossa usually terminates at the apex of the mesial triangular fossa. Additional short developmental groove radiates from the central pit of the central fossa at an obtuse angulation to the buccal and central developmental groove. When it crosses the oblique ridge transversely, as it sometimes does, joining the central and distal fossa with the shallow groove, it is called the transverse groove of the oblique ridge. An irregular developmental groove transverses its deepest portion. This developmental groove is called distal oblique groove. It connects with the lingual developmental groove at the junction of the cusp ridge of the mesiolingual and distolingual cusp.